What if I told you that behind the dazzling glamour and perfect smiles of Hollywood lies a hidden chapter of pain, courage, and silence? They are not just stars. They are pioneers, people who dared to live authentically in an era when society was not ready to accept them. When homosexuality was still considered taboo and AIDS was shrouded in fear and stigma, many artists had to choose silence to protect their careers and sometimes even their lives. But today, the light returns to them. We will explore 10 Hollywood icons, individuals who left their mark not only on the screen but also in the hearts of humanity. If you believe they deserve to be honored, leave a 1 in the comments. If you think Hollywood still hasn't truly been fair to them, comment 0 to share your opinion. Enjoy the video and don't forget to like, share, and drop a sub to support the channel. Now let's dive into their story. Freddie Mercury, a voice that left the whole world in awe. He was not just a singer, but a phenomenon, an explosive source of energy that music could hardly contain. Born as Farrokh Bulsara in Zanzibar, he rose from humble beginnings to become the heart of the band Queen, where he turned melodies into eternity. Bohemian Rhapsody, We Are the Champions, Somebody to Love. These were not just songs, they were emotional earthquakes where rock met opera and art touched the human soul. On stage, Freddie was an unpredictable storm, fierce, free, and captivating enough to shake entire stadiums. But off the spotlight, he was a humble, sensitive man, always guarding his private world. In 1987, when diagnosed with HIV, Freddie chose to remain silent not out of fear, but because he wanted the public to remember his music, not his illness. In his final years, he continued to create, tirelessly pouring all his energy into every song. In These Are the Days of Our Lives, even as his body weakened, his eyes still shone brightly, a gaze full of pride and an indomitable spirit. Freddie passed away in 1991, but his voice has never gone silent. The Mercury Phoenix Trust, named after him, continues to spread light, raising awareness and supporting HIV research around the world. More than 3 decades later, through films, virtual stages, and millions of resonating hearts, Freddie Mercury still lives on, a testament that art and courage never fade. The true strength of a person doesn't lie in how long they live, but in how boldly they choose to live. Freddie Mercury taught us that even when facing limits, music and conviction can make a human being immortal. Wade Dominguez, a star who exploded onto the scene in a brief moment, yet his light remained strong enough to illuminate an entire generation. He was a rare combination of strength and vulnerability, of confidence and tender emotion. There was something in Wade's eyes and smile that made people pause, listen, and feel. Born in Santa Clara, California, with Mexican and French heritage, Wade possessed a cinematic look, angular, alluring, and full of character. Before acting, he was a professional dancer with every movement radiating energy and freedom. That talent shone through when he portrayed Emilio Ramirez in the film Dangerous Minds, 1995. This role was not only a turning point in his career, but also a testament to his true talent, an artistic soul who dared to live, to love, and to dream. Yet behind that dazzling spotlight was a quiet truth. Wade was battling AIDS at a time when the disease was still shrouded in fear and prejudice. He chose to remain silent, not out of shame, but because he didn't want pity to overshadow the pride of an artist. Even as his body weakened, he continued to create, still longing to see the films he left behind. In 1998, while lying in his hospital bed, Wade watched a rough cut of the film Taxman. His close friend Elizabeth Berkley sat beside him, holding his hand. When the film ended, he gave a slight smile and said, "I did well." It wasn't arrogance, but a farewell from someone who had poured his whole heart into his art. Wade Dominguez passed away at just 32, but the mark he left continues to shine. His film scenes, interviews, and even his dances are still shared, allowing many young people today to know him not just as a talented actor, but as a symbol of courage and authenticity in art. Wade Dominguez reminds us that true talent doesn't lie in the time we spend on stage, but in how we make others remember us. Even if it shines for only a moment, that light, when born from sincerity, will never fade. Denholm Elliott, the gentleman who made every frame unforgettable. You might not remember his name, but you've certainly seen that face, mischievous eyes, a charming smile, and quintessentially British poise that made every role he played linger in the audience's memory. Denholm Elliott was Hollywood's secret weapon, a man capable of turning even the smallest supporting role into the soul of an entire film. From Marcus Brody, the lovable, humorous friend in Indiana Jones, to the deeply nuanced Mr. Emerson in A Room, with a View, Denholm didn't just act. He lived in every moment, every glance, every line. Born in 1922 in London, he endured the harsh years of World War II, an experience that forged his inner strength and rare depth. With over 125 films and dozens of television roles, Denholm became a familiar face in both British and international cinema, an actor who commanded respect without ever needing to be loud. Off-screen, he was witty kind and uniquely charming. Friends described him as a delightfully eccentric gentleman, polite, intelligent, and always knowing how to make others feel valued. But behind that charm was a profoundly human story. In 1987, he was diagnosed with HIV at a time when the disease was still surrounded by fear and prejudice. Denholm chose silence with dignity. He continued to work, continued to give, refusing to let the illness define his life. In 1992, he passed away at the age of 70 from AIDS-related complications, leaving behind an irreplaceable artistic legacy. Today, the BAFTA Denholm Elliott Award was established to honor young actors who demonstrate sincerity, dedication, and a love for the craft, the very qualities that defined him. Denholm Elliott teaches us that greatness doesn't need to be flashy. It isn't measured by fame or bright lights, but by living and working with wholehearted passion, whether the world sees it or not. Robert Reed, the man once beloved by all of America as the ideal father, yet behind that gentle smile was a quiet, courageous story. To millions of viewers, he will always be Mike Brady in The Brady Bunch, calm, compassionate, exemplary, the father every family wished for. He became a symbol of warmth, kindness, and inner strength, an inseparable part of 20th century television memory. But off-camera, Robert Reed was no longer the admired man on screen. Born in 1932 as John Robert Reitz Jr., he was a classically trained actor who loved theater and Shakespeare more than fame. The Brady Bunch brought him popularity, but it also made him a prisoner of the image Hollywood wanted: the perfect, patriarchal, gentle, and ideal man. In reality, Robert Reed was gay, and at that time being openly so could mean the end of his career. So he chose silence to survive hiding the truest part of himself. On set, he was strict, sometimes demanding, because he wanted everything to be perfect, not to control, but to prove that his worth lay in his talent, not his secret. Yet young co-stars on The Brady Bunch later recalled that Reed was a true father behind the scenes, thoughtful, encouraging, and always ready to protect them. In 1991, when he was diagnosed with colon cancer, only a few close friends knew he was also battling HIV. A year later, at the age of 59, Robert Reed passed away. Although the official cause was cancer rumors about AIDS, quickly spread, revealing a sadder truth about a man who had spent his life living with integrity, even if he could not fully live as his true self. Decades later, the cast of The Brady Bunch still speak of him with deep respect. They remember not only the television father, but also honor a sincere artist who bore invisible pressures so the world could see the very best of him on screen. Robert Reed teaches us that integrity is not only in words, but in the way we live and give of ourselves. Even though he couldn't reveal his true self publicly, he chose to live with dignity, love, and care for those around him, and it is precisely this that made him the greatest father not just on screen, but in the hearts of his audience. Willie Smith, the man who turned fashion into a language of joy and freedom. He didn't design for lavish runways or the elite. He designed for real people, those walking the streets, working, laughing, loving, and dreaming in everyday life. Born in 1948 in Philadelphia, Willie brought a fresh breath to the world of fashion, warm, vibrant, and deeply human in an industry often dominated by exclusivity and distance. When he launched Willie Wear in 1976, he sparked a street fashion revolution, blending the free-spirited energy of everyday life with the sophistication of haute couture long before the concept of high-end streetwear became a trend. His clothes were simple, yet distinctive, easy to wear but never ordinary, giving everyone a sense of friendliness and confidence no matter who they were or where they came from. By the mid-1980s, Willie Wear was generating over $25 million in annual revenue, a testament to his timeless influence. Willie was not just a designer, he was a storyteller through fabric. He collaborated with artists, choreographers, directors, and architects, breaking down the boundaries between fashion and art. He designed the iconic wedding dress for Mary Jane Watson in the Spider-Man comics and helped define the quintessentially American style of the 1980s, bright, confident, and optimistic. Every stitch he made carried a social message that fashion is not just something to wear, but a way to express ourselves and our community. But behind that brilliance was a quiet tragedy. In a time when differences were harshly judged, Willie faced HIV, a reality he kept private to avoid prejudice. In 1987, at the age of 39, he passed away from AIDS-related complications. The fashion world lost a genius, but popular culture lost a pioneer who dared to love to live and to believe that creativity belongs to no one person alone. True style isn't measured by price or status, it's measured by the heart. Willie Smith teaches us that genuine creativity comes when you make others feel seen, respected, and free to be themselves. Fashion, when rooted in kindness, will always transcend both time and prejudice. If you agree with Willie Smith's message of compassion and creativity, leave a 1 in the comments, if not comment 0, to share your perspective. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a sub to support us. And now, let's continue exploring the next stories. Ed Koch, the mayor who turned New York into a vibrant stage of energy, hope, and resilience. With his bright smile and signature line, "How am I doing?" he was not just a leader, but a symbol of New York spirit, straightforward, witty, sometimes controversial, yet always full of life. Born in 1924, Ed Koch entered politics at a time when the city was drowning in financial crisis, rising crime, and public despair. Serving as mayor from 1978 to 1989, he became the man who revived the city that never sleeps, bold in reform, skillful in communication, and always able to connect with the public. He embodied the New York spirit of daring ideas and daring action, someone who could face pressure with a smile and a sharp joke. Yet at the moment the city needed him most, when the AIDS crisis was exploding, Ed Koch remained silent. As hospitals were overwhelmed, families lost loved ones, and the LGBTQ+ activism movement grew, the famously outspoken mayor chose to avoid addressing the issue in depth. Many criticized him for this silence, arguing that fear and politics held him back, while rumors surrounding his private life only added complexity to the story. In his later years, Ed Koch admitted his regrets, that he wished he had done more, had dared to speak with compassion when thousands needed a courageous leader. He called it the greatest mistake of his career. Yet for many New Yorkers, he remained the man of the city, an imperfect man who lived fully loved wholeheartedly and always believed that this city was worth saving. When Ed Koch passed away in 2013 at the age of 88, the Empire State Building was lit up in his honor. It served as a reminder that even flawed leaders can leave a legacy worth respecting. Greatness isn't about never making mistakes, but about facing them with humility and humanity. Ed Koch teaches us that a person's true strength lies not only in what they do right, but in how they acknowledge their wrongs. In life, no one is perfect, but those who dare to admit their mistakes are the ones who truly grow. Rudolf Nureyev, the man who transformed ballet from a refined art into a passionate rebellion. Born in 1938 on a train crossing the frozen Siberian landscape, he entered the world in motion, and perhaps it was this very journey that destined his life to never stand still. From a poor childhood in the Soviet Union, Nureyev used extraordinary talent and determination to break every boundary, becoming one of the greatest dancers of the 20th century. On stage, every leap he took seemed to defy gravity. Every movement was a declaration of freedom and vitality, making the audience witness not just a dance, but a soul ablaze. In 1961, during a tour with the Kirov Ballet in Paris, Nureyev made the boldest decision of his life. He defected from the Soviet Union. In that moment, he not only chose freedom for himself, but also became a global symbol of courage and art that transcends borders. In the West, Nureyev quickly became a legend. His collaboration with Dame Margot Fonteyn was hailed as magical, she graceful and fluid, he powerful and fierce. That contrast fused into performances that captivated the world. He redefined the image of the male dancer in ballet, bringing a raw daring and intense energy, turning what once seemed a delicate art into a sport of emotion and strength. Beyond the stage, Nureyev lived as he danced with freedom, intensity, and without regret. He pursued art, fashion, friendship, and life to the fullest. By the 1980s, when rumors about his health began to spread, Nureyev did not stop. After being diagnosed with HIV, he refused to let the disease define him. He continued creating, directing at the Paris Opera Ballet, and still appeared before audiences with the poise of a true warrior. In 1993, Nureyev passed away at the age of 54. The world lost a great artist, but his spirit continued to dance in every movement, every piece of music, every gaze of those who love the arts. Rudolf Nureyev teaches us that freedom is not just the right to choose, but the courage to live authentically, even at a cost. He proved that art is not merely for observation. It is also to liberate humanity from all limits, including the limits of fear and time. Steve Rubell, the man who turned New York nights into a living legend. In the late 1970s, if you hadn't stepped through the doors of Studio 54, you were almost not part of the world of wonders. And at the center of all the lights, music, and madness was Steve Rubell, the man with a champagne glass in hand, a mischievous smile, and the ability to turn every moment into legend. He didn't just open a club, he created a universe where imagination became reality. A night at Studio 54 could be a sight no one would dare to believe Mick Jagger and Andy Warhol whispering in a corner while Grace Jones rides a white horse into the middle of the dance floor. There, fame or status vanished, leaving only joy, freedom, and liberation. Steve believed that everyone had the right to shine, whether a movie star or a construction worker. That was the philosophy that made Studio 54 an icon of an era without limits. By the mid-1980s, Steve's life shifted into a quieter chapter. He was diagnosed with HIV, but faced the illness with dignity and determination. Even as his health declined, he continued to create and spread his spirit until the very end. On July 25, 1989, at the age of 45, Steve Rubell's spotlight went out, but the glow he created never faded. Steve Rubell teaches us that true light doesn't come from fame, but from the ability to make others feel fully alive. Though his life was short, he left behind a legacy not only of music and fashion, but of freedom, joy, and the courage to live authentically even after the night has ended. Thank you for watching the video. If you found their story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to support us. We will continue bringing such stories in future videos, as we always aim to share valuable life lessons and meaningful messages with all of you. Join us on this journey so you don't miss out on exciting videos and fresh inspiration every week. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.